Alright, so the only fundamental change that we made from yesterday to today is that I did take a quick gander at my folks' gear, and I noticed that I had about 200 odd speed here. Actually, I had about 221. So I did some quick math, and I realized that 221 minus 45 is greater than 173, which is the speed of my martyr. So I figured out that if I wanted to, I could cut my speed boots and instead put on some kind of survivability type gear. Now, of course, here's the thing. Nobody keeps defense gear or HP boots. So I was like, well, fuck. So I ran Dragon a bunch of times, and I came out with kind of two good pieces. So this is the second piece that I decided not to go with for pretty obvious reasons. It gives me less survivability. Nobody cares about attack. You can see it's only 104, and giving it a bunch of crit isn't really going to matter. So I went with my HP boots that actually have more crit, less crit damage, and with at least some survivability. So increased the amount of survivability I was getting by a fair bit. You can see here. Obviously, I gained 5,000 health, and then I lost just about 10 defense, and I lost 27 accuracy, but to be honest, nobody cares about accuracy when you have 245, and I previously was at like 270. So what I am going to do is hit the clan boss a little bit. We do have two keys now, so we might just have to go back to back and hit them twice. But basically the whole rest of the comp is the same. People who are too fast is Apothecary is too fast, and so is Stagnite for a speed tune comp, and of course Apothecary is at like 261 speed, so he's definitely nowhere near speed tuned. You can see one of the major differences that's going to be coming up is if she used to go second, now she's going last. This puts her closer to speed tuned, which isn't really going to matter as the runs go longer and longer because, of course, at the end of the day, she is still not going to be in tune because she's going to get turn meter from poisons falling off. She's going to get turn meter from um, that's it, actually. She only gets turn meter from that and from Apothecary using his A3, and then, of course, from her using her own A2. So you can see, obviously, right off the bat, you'll see that I don't have the poison debuff up here, and I also don't have the skill to use this because I'm not lapping the boss yet, so I'm just actually, already kind of losing out on damage. But we'll see. I mean, you can see, obviously, my damage is pretty high right now. So maybe it will work out in longer run. So this is the stun turn, definitely going on Venus. This is, okay. I think we're definitely going to lap here. Okay, yeah, we're definitely going to lap here. So this is the stun turn. Or this is the counterattack turn, so I definitely want to make sure that I use my speed up here. And given that now I'm going to be trying to, or at least specifically Banshee, is going to be significantly closer to a traditional counterattack comp, I definitely want to be paying much more attention to my Apothecary's cooldown on his A1 because that's going to be where I'm ooh, didn't even get it. Okay. That's where I'm actually going to be getting most of my turn meter because she's not going to be taking 10,000 turns like she used to be. You can see obviously I am on a stun turn, so I would have liked to use turn meter twice here. It's not going to happen because I need to get this poison sensitivity buff up. And she still has counterattack, but it didn't matter that she had counterattack for this turn. So that's kind of always going to be one of the questions that kind of hangs around is the fact that she's now significantly slower going to make up for the fact that she is not going to die as fast. But part of part of playing any game, of course, is that you have to be constantly iterating on your team, taking advantages of new opportunities. That's one of the fundamental things that kind of encouraged me. So next turn is stun turn. I want to keep this up. The thing that encouraged me to start doing this kind of non-traditional build is that based on what I had, I was able to do better because I didn't have, or rather based on what I did or didn't have. So this is kind of an interesting problem, because now I have no space for poison sensitivity. So that's kind of one of the upsides of having her go like really extremely fast, is she always gets first crack at the meter, or at the debuff bar. And you can see I'm kind of still on track for what I considered to be my kind of baseline, how much damage I want to make sure I'm dealing every single turn, to kind of continue to get the same number of keys. Because ultimately, the amount of damage you do on a per turn basis doesn't matter. It's just how much damage that you deal on average. Because no matter what happens, you're going to have spikes and you're going to have troughs. So what you're trying to do is make sure that you're kind of keeping even on the amount of damage that you expected to be doing. So you can see actually like, I don't know if I'm spiking right now necessarily, but you can see I'm doing like, 800,000 damage per turn, which is much more than I used to be doing. So it is entirely possible that, oh, I just wasted that skill, it's fine. It's entirely possible that this might be a little bit better for me. So this is a stun turn. Just going to keep using up this turn meter kind of as soon as possible. There's not really much benefit for me to hold on to it. The reality is characters are balanced around having, kind of a certain amount of power in their kit. And if you're just ignoring abilities that they have, you're just kind of giving up free power. So, I'm not really a big fan of doing that to kind of stay within the narrow constraints of a particular, comp or metric or whatnot. Definitely feel like I'm doing a lot more damage, but I could also just be streaking. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah. I could also just be, kind of spiking extremely high. I think the crit's probably relevant on her. I don't think that it's kind of something that I really want to take into account. Like, oh yeah, I want my crit. Definitely, if you have the ability to have crit on top of all your other defensive stats, something you might want to consider. Definitely something you can only consider when you are extremely well geared, just because you need so many stats. And what I was hoping to do here, yeah, so I was hoping to get poison sensitivity back up. Looks like I'm going to get there. And that's kind of the benefit of having run this comp, I guess, probably for a pretty long time, is, so next turn I definitely want to boost, is that I kind of have a pretty good feeling on when I should push the turn meter, and when I can kind of not push it. And anyone can develop this skill. It's really not a very difficult one, but it certainly is. I don't know who Swirls is, but hey, welcome to the channel. I'm kind of I'm kind of like a mid-late game person. I just kind of stream my clan boss runs because I do a little bit of a unique strategy inside my Discord clan. So I kind of stream these runs and kind of talk through my process so people can kind of make their own determination on whether or not going from a strictly speed-tuned team to one that kind of utilizes its abilities in a unique way. You haven't really been here long enough, but basically, even though I have a counterattack person, I also continuously use my turn meter boosting abilities, and I do that because I get more damage, especially on stun turns. So, welcome to the channel. If you have any questions or concerns, of course, you're welcome to bring them out. I'll be happy to talk about them when I'm not paying attention. The other thing is, if you want, I can go back over at the end. So my counterattacker got stunned. That's kind of a problem. I'm not going to get counterattacks this turn. I'm not really sure why that is either, to be honest with you. Huh. Well, that was interesting. I guess maybe she had proportionally less health than Venus did, so she made her a much more tempting target. I'm not sure exactly what happened there, to be honest. That's okay. So the only thing, okay. Well, the only thing that's kind of super weird about this comp is that Apothecary, you may have noticed, takes 2 turns basically for everybody else's 1 turn. So that's super weird compared to most folks. 21, not sure if I'm doing better or worse than I normally would have. Definitely don't want to use this. Both of these abilities are not really going to do a lot for me, kind of annoying. So right now what I'm looking at is, number one, is Apothecary probably going to get another turn? The other one is Martyr's definitely not getting another turn, but how likely is it that my Venus is right now about to die? The answer is not very high because Apothecary gets another turn, but I needed to do that calculation kind of manually. And you can see here kind of one of the poison sensitivity opportunities I would have had if I wasn't using more defensive items on my Banshee, because I lost the poison sensitivity and I had very few poisons on the boss. And you can see that kind of one of the benefits to having the defense up is that you just don't get smushed as hard. So, looks like we're kind of nearing the end of the run. Definitely, for sure, nearing the end of the run. I need to look at the buffs because I was like, I'm not sure who's going to live here, who's going to die here. Yeah, definitely dead. If I hadn't put the heal on Apothecary, would have put the it would have stunned Apothecary and killed him there. So that's like, the run's kind of over. I'm gonna limp along a little bit longer, but this run's basically over because Banshee's dead and she's almost all of my damage. Gonna get another turn here. So what I was checking there was, is this guy gonna have speed buff up? And the answer is no. So Banshee does do a little bit of damage, and of course all the rest of my folks still do damage. They just don't do a lot of damage. So it's kind of, what's like 77,000. So they're probably not going to do enough damage to make a significant impact on how much damage I dealt this battle in the next, like, I don't know, 5 turns or something. Maybe 3 turns, I think. Probably will live 3 more turns, assuming we don't drop any buffs. So I have my counterattack up, but maybe I should have used it there because obviously that guy just got smushed to the face. You can see obviously I'm pretty deep into the number of turns. So at this point I'm like kind of just riding the gravy train. It's very unlikely. Ooh, dead. Oh, he got vamped. Oh, he's gonna live. That's great. Okay. Very unlikely I'm gonna live any significant number more turns. I think everybody would have to hit their Giant Slayer procs or War Master procs in order to live from that position, and of course the 2 of them didn't. And then this one's just dead because she takes the stun. So 22 million, basically 22 million. That's pretty average, actually. Not sure. We'll have to do more test runs. Banshee's no longer in speed boots at all. She's straight up health boots. She still died actually first. She would have died probably second if I had let Apothecary die first. So that's something to question. But I think in a general kind of sense, somehow 45 speed is just irrelevant. Might be an irrelevant factor. I'm not sure if this is a spike. I feel like it was a spike because I went a couple extra turns no higher than I normally would have. but I did probably as much damage. Actually, this feels like a little bit less damage. So, you know, over time, the extra 12.5 thousand damage from poison adds up. Same thing with just taking extra turns and getting extra War Master procs. So I do have my second key. I'm going to use it immediately because the boss is probably still void. And then we'll get a second kind of run in back to back.